Okay, hello everyone. This is your Professor Bala again. This is going to be our last session for the live session. So I hope you found all the course materials fine, and the assessments were fine. I think there are a few problems that are being cited in the forums. We'll get back to you on that. So Siddharth, I am reporting from Chennai as usual. Don't try to act.
I'm not surprised this time,
Surprise
sir.
this time. Okay, yeah. This time you're
Well,
not.
hi guys, welcome back to our last session of design thinking, and we're looking forward to get into it straight away. So, Bala sir,
So this module was about testing. It's I know it's an online course, and you basically are tested. I mean, whatever assessment is based on what is there in the content, but really this has to be done outside of the room, the classroom, or wherever you are at. This step has to be done with human beings. You have to go interact and actually find out information, find out whether your prototype really works. So the first phase of it is, of course, making a prototype, which is what Siddharth and Co did in the workshop video. And the second phase of it, which is there in the other video, which is the interview, which is going and talking to different people, making them use your prototype, making them understand what is this is about, and you noting down their reactions and their fears maybe, or their annoyances. Also, one point to note is that there were several assumptions that Siddharth and Co had in their product. They went and tested this on field. So that's something that's key for this stage. Then you go back to the drawing board. So this is not done. The journey is not done by any means. So you will have to expand on it. There will be sub problems to work on. There will be things that really didn't go the way you thought it would be. There will be some new insights, some strange things happening. Sometimes your prototype doesn't work, Murphy's law, when you want it to. So those are things that happen usually in a prototype phase. So watch out for that, and I would say urge you to go ahead and try that and do it with real people. Start with people you know, and then you can move on to strangers. That's my usual method. Also, another one I don't think we covered it in class is also focus on extreme users. Extreme users are ones who like have to depend on your functionality to in extreme conditions. So like example I was giving in class the other day was if you're looking at health conscious products or fitness centers, you might want to look at talk to marathon runners, people who are the extremes in that. So that will give you a good perspective, good spectrum of all people that are going to be a potential target users. So this is sort of a summary of what the previous or the last module in this case was. And as with my last set of slides, you would have seen that this is an iterative process. You learn, and sometimes you're sent right back to the start, the first step, and you start with empathize one more time. So oftentimes, like Siddharth also did that, was to go back to them and even note down stuff that they are not unhappy about. They will be happy to tell you, okay, this is fine, but there are things that are not fine with me, and this is what it is. Or you find out for yourself that okay, this is not fine with them, and you write them down as well. So those things can also happen, and it's a heavily iterative process. As that's the karmic part of our karmic design thinking as well. So take the good karma and go forward and apply it to the product, and then again find out that there are things that don't work, and do it many times over. Yeah.
yep, great sir, great Bala sir.
Yes.
So, thanks for the synopsis again from our test module. And there are a couple of few interesting points as well you mentioned about our discussion from the videos.
Okay.
Thanks for that as well. And we have a coming up as usual from our learners. So I'd like to start with the first question of the day.
Okay.
right? So it says difference between preliminary action and beforehand questioning.
Okay. So this is from the solve module. The
Okay.
question is, so what is the difference between beforehand
Preliminary actions, preliminary actions and
questioning,
beforehand questioning.
preliminary action and beforehand cushioning? Okay, so the commonality, and I see that's the reason for, and this is a TRIZ principle, TRIZ that we introduced in the solve module. Two of them, they are the similarity is that they are done prior to the point of conflict, the time of conflict. That's the similarity. But where it differs is you do something before to offset the damage, offset something that's some bad thing is going to happen, and that's uh, prior cushioning. So beforehand cushioning is like the example that I showed was the backup parachute. Ellen Dom's example of backup parachute is you are ready for eventualities. Yes, you do it prior, but you're ready for eventualities, and you do that. Keep another backup. But in case of prior action, you do something before, like a template, form template. Okay, you fill out most of the stuff that everybody knows, but only leave out the stuff that is not that needs to be on a specific basis. Like the forms that you fill out with a template come, and you just fill out where information is required. So that is prior action because somebody did that part alone. Here it's not to avert danger or avert caution or any such thing. It is straight away. It is about just going on with the action. So we are not trying to prevent a bad action, but we are here. We are there to augment. So sort of very subtle difference. I think that's why the confusion was. But the essence of these two principles is something is done. Uh, um, let's say T-1. So if T is the time of conflict, you do it before that. And for that, you need to figure out when is the conflict and where is the conflict. In Ari's, the algorithm of problem solving, we actually have a step where we identify when is the conflict and where is it a conflict. Okay, so that will give you a good indicator of what does prior mean. Okay, before, so the class I was giving them an example of a airbag. Okay, airbag in a car, right? So it works only at the time when there is trouble, that when the car comes to a sudden stop, the airbag actually opens up. Till then, it is inside, folded up. I mean, it doesn't get in the way of the functionality of the steering, but it comes, opens up when there is trouble. So this is an action that's already T is the time when there's a sudden break, and T-1 is I'm sorry, T is the time when there's a collision, and say the time of the accident itself. There you have about 150 milliseconds for the airbag to open. So you have to inflate that within that time period. So that is the time of conflict that this has to happen. Yeah. So that's my trial to answer. I hope that has clarified the difference between the two.
Right, right. Thanks, Bala, sir. We have another question. I'm assuming this is with respect to the examination.
Okay.
So, in locations Chennai and Mumbai, this is for them basically. How
Okay.
many questions? I'm expecting how
I
many
mean
questions.
centers, I guess.
No, sir. It says how many questions and how long time of exam.
Okay, okay. So, well, that has nothing to do with the centers. So,
Yeah.
I think there are two questions in this. Let me take it as two questions. The first question is, okay, in say large cities like Mumbai and Chennai, or Delhi for that matter, or any other large city you take, there will be multiple centers for sure. Now, I would advise you with in terms of centers and all that. Please leave a message on the forum, and Siddharth, I entrust you with hooking them up with the right people to give them the information. I am assuming, I'm sorry about my ignorance, but I'm assuming the NPTEL site has exam centers information already.
I have, sir. I'll share it with the learners on the forum after the session.
Yeah. So if you could do that, that will be great. That will sort of take care of, I don't know which center in my city am I going to be in. But I think you'll be allocated that when you get your hall ticket, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is
Center
the
will be allocated with the hall tickets, sir. Only thing we
hall
have is
ticket.
the exam cities.
Okay, fine. So they indicate their preferences through that. Okay, that's one thing. And in terms of the number of questions, that was such a long time ago. I think it had like 50 questions, if I'm not wrong. And let me give you a pointer here, hint here, without giving away the questions. I think you will find that a lot of these questions are from or similar to the questions that you've already attempted in your assessment. Okay, so that's the clue I can give. They are very similar. That's about 50% of it. So if you are well versed with the content of the assessments, well versed with the lecture part of this course, then you should be comfortably sail to the 50% mark. Okay. For the remainder of the 50% are more application oriented. Now, this is a guideline that was given to us professors who are testing, who are setting the paper, is to make it application oriented so that they can apply. Okay, I don't want to scare you, but it's not so difficult either. Okay, so it's if you understood the concept from these modules, the EAST, empathize, analyze, solve, and test, you should be able to figure out this. Okay. Having said that, it will require application. Okay, you have to read the case in its entirety, and the options also may give you certain clues. Okay, so that's how much I remember. This was done a few months ago. So, and how long is the exam? Siddharth, help me out. Was it 3 hours? I think. Okay, we will get back to you on that also. I'm not 100% certain, but take it that it'll be somewhere between 2 and 3 hours.
Yes, sir. I'm expecting it's around 9 to 12 and 2 to 5. Two sessions.
Okay, so that's 3 hours. Okay, 9 to 12, 2 to 5.
So I'll again verify and put it posted in the forum for viewers to view.
Yes, please. So if you can post one specifically for the exams, that will sort of address these issues.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Right. So we have a lot of questions coming from our live viewers again.
Oh, great.
Yes, sir. And one of the comments that interested me even from our forum is that lot of our viewers and learners want a few more mock tests, mock examples, some sort of case studies for the next coming 1 month to practice for the exam. So I thought if you have anything as such you wanted to share with the viewers, we can let them know, because a couple of questions say the same thing like chat as well.
Okay. I remember seeing some of these. Can you give a question bank or as a mock assessment? Oh, let me think about it. No promises, no assurances, but let me think about it. Unfortunately, you don't have a previous year question back. This is the first time we are running this course.
Right.
So unfortunately, I can't direct you to them either. I would say, yeah, like again, I reiterate that if you're well versed with the lecture part of it, and if you are reasonably comfortable with the assessments, now that you know all the answers, I think the test part is coming out the next Wednesday, right? So with that, you will know all the assessments. You should, sail through the first half at least. Okay. The second half is the application part. I don't have a lot of mock assessment, but I will work on it. Again, I no assurances, no promises, but I will surely work on it and get back to you. Okay.
Right, sir.
Yeah, that's my non-committal answer.
Thanks, sir. With your permission, then I would like to share the IBM case study I have with me, which I
Oh
which
yeah.
I feel could be useful to our learners. Maybe. So I'll share the IBM case study as well with them.
Oh, great, great, excellent. That will work very well. Yeah, whatever. So you can go over what Siddharth has been sharing on one particular post, that know your design thinking. That's the name of the post on the forum. You'll find it pretty interesting. And he's shared from the design world, from the design thinking world. Some of them are real eye openers, and some of them are very informative. So you'll find it very interesting. So, and probably useful even for what you're saying. So these are applications. So look at it from the perspective of the modules that we have covered. Empathize, analyze, solve, and test. So see it from that perspective on how it may work. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Thanks, thanks, Bala. So I'd like to come up with a question from our live viewer here,
Okay.
from Mr. Manoj Nair. If any corporate follows the process of design thinking, then there needs to be a lot of patience in top management or stakeholders to understand the process, as it's slow and may also fail in market. Do corporate or medium size will have patience to follow this module, as we say, go to market fast in technology, else you are already failed by the time you reach market. So like anything
Okay.
on this?
Yes, you're right that your top. This is in the company context or the corporate context. Yes, absolutely spot on that your top management has to be bought in with the concept itself of starting and ending with the humans. Having said that, this is if you're a product or a service company, you typically have this cycle of starting with the user and giving what the user wants in some sort of way. Okay, you will call it something else, sales. You will call it what is it called? Requirements gathering. You have several names for this. In this course, we have kept it generic so that it applies all across. We have not specifically taken a particular industry or a particular service or a product. In fact, we've even kept it saying that it could apply for a product or a service. So uh, if you look at in your company and try to translate this, I'm putting it back to the person who asked the question itself. Can you actually see what translates to your company, these each of these stages, and hence tell your management that I'm not doing anything different here, except I'm making all this efficient and put it all in one cycle. Okay, rather than it being disjoint, I'm actually putting it all into one continuous flow, and I'm making iterations of this internally so that it sort of flows into a logical way in which we can generate these solutions. So that would be my pitch to my management if I were in that position, is to translate it to something that they understand in their context, because you have been exposed to this, and you're right that your company may not understand or may not be aware of these things like empathize, analyze, solve, and test, or ideate, prototype. All this may or may not, they may not be aware. So your job is to sort of do the translation, go be the in between, and say, okay, what they're talking about in empathize is actually requirements gathering, or in the test phase is actually this, or in the solve phase is actually development or whatever. I'm just using IT as an example. Um, so if you can do that and actually pitch your project in such a way that this is what I'm doing. Oh, by the way, it has a name and it's been done in XY colleges. It has been done in XY companies, and they have seen tremendous success. Their case studies are out there and all that. If you say, then you can tell them that yeah, this is actually what I'm talking about is design thinking, but this is how it translates to our company. Then I think you have a good case there. So, did I cover all parts of the question? I heard multiple parts in that question.
I think yes, sir. You did cover it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, if you think we have left out something, just feel free to add to the set of questions.
It's basically the patience level management has before, because they come up with all this go-to-market fast strategy, and they might not allow time with their management to understand their entire process. So the question is basically around this context itself. So I think you have answered the question.
Okay, okay,
Right.
fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have a next question coming from Mr. Nagesh. How does the time dimension and risk element play out in the iterative process? What are few key areas we should be conscious of during our design thinking stages?
I didn't catch you complete. So, what does the time dimension do in iterative
I'll repeat
process?
the question, sir. How does how does the time
Yes,
dimension and
please.
risk element play out in the iterative process? Time dimension and risk element play out in the iterative process. What are the key areas we should be conscious of during our design thinking stages?
The areas that you have to be conscious of in the design thinking process. Ooh. Time dimension in the iterative process. I think that from my experience, I think the first step, first iteration is going to take a lot of time. You will have to dedicate a lot of resources to this to understand and everything. So this is like a typical learning cycle. So here, main aim is to learn what is it that the user is going through. So it gets better with time. So you will see that the time that you devote to your subsequent iterations are actually much shorter. It gets quicker, and better. That your prototype starts looking like a real product. Like what you and I discussed, that is industry ready
Right.
prototypes,
Correct.
right? So you can call it user ready prototypes. So it doesn't look anymore like cardboard and paper and sticky notes and play-doh and all that, but it actually starts looking like a product. And users are not alarmed by it, and they think, oh, okay, this is a new one, let me try this out. So in software parlance, it would be the alpha, so pre-alpha to alpha to beta, so they have a set notion. So this would be sort of the, you're getting there slowly, steadily, but it's, I think, in my opinion, gets faster, because now we are sort of, you understand this better, because you've been in front of the customer so many times that you can actually predict their reactions already, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to see, this is what I'm going to see. So that sort of is helpful. uh, Key areas in design thinking, I don't think them, I would emphasize on one and not emphasize on the other. I think, yes, we always talk about empathize with more stress, because all the audiences that we encounter, at least, okay, this I will speak for me, is I find that empathy doesn't come naturally to me, I think. um, and so I need a process to do this, a method to do this, and to visually communicate it to someone. This customer journey map is very handy, very useful. Any new member in my team, I immediately show them this, and they're conversant with what's going on. They know it immediately. Having said that, that's why we seem to stress more on empathize, but all the others, steps are all equally important, because they have their function, they are there for a purpose. Analyzes to go through, I mean, not just stop at what you hear, what you see, but actually go deep within. The unsaid, unmet, and latent needs are, in fact, more important. And this, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me fine? Okay. So in the solve stage also, again, here we are looking at specifically solving the conflict that we had. So that's as important as the analysis phase itself, because if you don't solve it, it's just a open answer. So that is going to be key as well. And if you don't go to the market with your prototype, it's just going to be an idea written somewhere or sitting inside your computer. doing nothing, collecting dust or collecting bits and bots. Okay, so eventually it just dies away. Or what you and I jokingly call as PPT-ware. Okay, it stays as PPT-ware, and with nobody benefiting out of this. So, and the iterations are also important because that's the way to make this learning permanent. So I don't think there's a you can single out and say, okay, do this only and you're done. No, there's no such thing. Uh, as far as I can understand his question.
Great. Thank you, sir. So we have another question again from Mr. Manoj. What is the ideal sample size for any product to be tested within the target audience? As society is very diversified from north to south, or do we have to do sampling in different geographies like FMCG?
Okay, I think I answered this in the forum. I remember this question very well, and from him only. Yeah. So I think that's burning in his mind as to saying, okay, do I go after 100 people? Do I go after 1,000 people? There are so many types of people I keep coming across. What is the, what? Where do I stop? Where do I start? Uh, Here we are not focused on numbers. So our main goal is to get under the skin of the user and go with it. Okay, assume that okay, as and when you find more of the certain type, just keep going with it. Go with your instincts. Uh, Find out what is it that they're going through. Go with an open mind in the empathize phase itself. Uh, I don't think yeah, you're right in one sense that yes, people from a certain region will be very different from people from another region. That's okay. That's perfectly all right. That's how let's say nature works. Okay, so let's embrace that. And even if you have 20, 30 people and you're able to get some really quality insights that you say, oh wow, I didn't know about this about them, I didn't know this about this segment. Okay, go with that. Scale up, and knowing more and all that will come much later in your further iterations. I don't think you need to bother yourself so much about what kind of scale am I attacking at this stage. Okay, there is a time and place for that. We will reach. I mean, we can cross that bridge when we reach there. So, uh, design thinking you will never find. At least the ones that I've come across and I've applied it myself. I have never seen people talk about. Okay, I need 1,000 users to be tested on. I don't think that's their key metric. That's not what they're measuring. They may have it. Okay, I've interviewed 30 people, and this is what I inferred. But they're not going to base it. This is not a strictly a scientific method, so to speak. It's more of an empirical, more a guideline, more a let's say a pathway, a guideline to help you move along. So that would be my trial to answer it. So I don't think yeah, 30 is a number I mentioned, but again, that's not a magic number either.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you. So I am going into a few questions which are learners have posted in the forum
Okay,
as in for the live session, questions for the live
okay,
session.
okay.
So one of them says, during the process of getting feedback from customers, the developers gain insights on the areas of improvement in their product. Ultimately, the benefit to the end customer is a product with enhanced features. How should this be taken into account while fixing the price for the product? Should the company consider incentives to those lead users who gave the feedback for improvement? This is
Wow.
coming from
Okay.
Mr. Bala.
Longish question. So, from what I gather, it is how do I get how do I take the feedback and incorporate it into price? Is that the crux of the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the last part? Again, I missed it. Company. What
Should
about
the
company?
company consider incentives to those lead users who gave the feedback for improvement? So instead of them buying it, should the company do something else?
Okay. Okay. So I'll take the first part. We are not. considering the pricing of a product or a service in this methodology. Okay, so I tell this to our business school students as well, that if you're looking for how to price this product or service that I have, and do I go and ask them, will you be able to afford 20 rupees for this product? Probably design thinking is not a good method for that. There are scores of methods to do that, and Siddharth is better qualified to take this up. He's the MBA, and, not me. And I feel that there are business tools to do this kind of pricing. Um, Design thinking is probably the ill-equipped method to find out about pricing. So what do I price my service? Do I get feedback on this? Do I find out if 100 to it does my product fall under the 100 to 1000, or is it 10 to 100 rupee or whatever the currency category? I don't think this is a great way to do it. This is to find out, again, this probably you're hearing me for the millionth time. This is that getting under the skin of the user, of the human being you're trying to help, is paramount. In testing, in feedback, also we try to do the same. Now we are trying to alter their day-to-day behavior by introducing this product or service. Okay, just like products and services are made for human beings, products and services also shape human behavior, right? It works both ways. So you look at human behavior and try to design products or services, but lots of our products and services actually govern our behavior as well. So it's actually a two-way street. So in that respect, I would say knowing what you need to know about the user is as much important as much as you need to know about what change am I introducing into their life. So in fact, when you go through the iteration, the second round of customer journey map actually talks about, okay, after I have introduced my product or service, how does their new customer journey map look like? Okay, so the modified customer journey map. That will be interesting to look at now that I will know where to introduce a change and where not. Again, were there two parts to this question? I talked for so long, I forgot.
No, sir. Mostly it's about the price and how to
Hello?
incentivize those customers who are giving them feedback to improve the features of the product. So
Oh, okay. That part, I think we heard a question. We saw a question like that, Siddharth, in the forum also. Is, do I pay my users to give feedback? Yeah. I remember this. So, well, if you have resources, why not? I mean, users will be happy. Buy them a lollipop, buy them a whatever little incentive to say thank you. Why not? I mean, keep them happy. They are spending some time. They're spending some effort with them, and if you have the resources, if you think it's appropriate to do that, by all means, give them incentives. So I wouldn't say no to somebody who's giving me something and expecting something in return. That's how our world works. So why not? I don't see any reason why it should not be done.
great. Interesting.
I think I answered this also in a forum in a little different way. I said, yeah, pretty much. But if you have the resources, why not?
Great. Okay, Bala sir. So I have another question, which is really poking me from a couple of days. This question is about, this is specifically targeted to software developers and hardware developers, embedded system developers. I think so. The question says, how do we apply design thinking in embedded software development where there are no touch and feel aspects and end user interface? I have no control over how the product will look or influence the UI aspect of the product. My scope is restricted to the design and development of the specific embedded software component. Uh,
Okay. the question that let me paraphrase the question is how does design thinking apply to embedded software development?
Yeah,
Is it
basically, since
okay?
they don't have direct touch points, how do they interact with the end users in developing the UI for them?
Well, at some point you have to have that interface with a human being. We unless you are in outer space and you're the only guy. Say you're standard in Mars, like that movie Martian. There's nobody else to design the product for, and whatever you do is for yourself. You live in a cave where there's nobody around, and all you're doing is for yourself. Unless you're in those situations, I think you still have to go and talk to people. You may not have access to the end users of your company. Your company has to offer, uh, but you may want to do that within your company. I mean, respect the rules of your company. If you can find people, like I know lots of companies, famous ones, which take their products and run with it inside their own company, so that they don't have to do user testing outside the company. It has many benefits. So you yourself see a lot of quote unquote problems with what you're developing, what you're building, and so the feedback is almost instantaneous, and you don't have to expose in case your intellectual property needs to be guarded. You don't want to expose it to external people and all that. Okay, so best way to do it is to find people in your own environment who are legally bound by all the regulations that you have, and run these tests within them. Your colleagues, your the lab mates who have no idea what you're doing, you can bring them on board. Everybody is in a radius of what you work on. You should try to, but the essence is that it starts and ends with a human being. Okay, this is still human centric design, so you cannot run away from that. And Sayantan had one of my forum members here had an interesting cartoon, and maybe we should share that. Okay, it's about that. Empathy. No, empathy is one, but he says, "You mean go out and interact with people? Are you kidding me?" So that was funny. We'll probably post it. We'll put it on the forum. Yeah, yeah, please, please. So,
What is what
uh,
does Sharon have for us? Right.
okay.
Great, sir. So
So
we have
I check, Siddharth, we have about 6 to 7 minutes remaining for this session. I apologize. I have to leave by 4:45. Otherwise, I'm going to be in Chennai for a really really long time. So that I don't want. Okay. I love, as much as I love the city and I would like to stay here. I have things to do back home. So yeah.
okay, sir. I'll go with a couple of questions from our live session then.
Okay.
This method was covered very briefly at
Hey, we lost you. We lost you, Siddharth, for a little bit. Triz was covered briefly, and
and was and not understood by me in way it was covered. Any further reference you wish to provide for us to explore?
okay, yeah. So he's talking about the forum members here. We the interaction that the introduction that I gave. I have covered Triz a little bit more in the videos, and my idea of covering Triz in this, let me give a larger scope answer, is people, if they feel that trace the method has not been covered in detail, this is not the course for covering that at all. This was just to give you a flavor of that there are such systematic methods which can help you with problem solving processes, and this is a method which has its origins in the patent world. All the inventions and all the from humanity, the patterns of thinking has been mined and tested all across industries. So it's a very powerful, important method in that respect. So my definitely, I think there is a need for covering this as a course by itself. This methodology itself can be covered as an NPTEL course. It has so much in it. So apologies that I could only dedicate less time for it, but it was done by design. So the design is to keep it short, not take the attention away from the problem solving that you're doing. In case you want to know more, please feel free to invite me and have a entire session on this. I will be happy to entertain you on that.
Right, sir. Thank you. So one of our viewers, Mr. Sushil, is really interested about getting some material on Kendrick Archula. If you would like to mention any sort of study material.
Sure. Yeah, that's one thing that I don't know if I've actually put it out there in the list of references, the list of videos, and all other material that we wanted to share. Siddharth, can you please remind? I don't know if for the YouTube videos you've already shared it with people. Can you please put that down as something that we need to share with them? The list of references, that we have a few. Having said that, Altschuler's books have been out of print for quite a while now, and so they are quite expensive. It is available on Amazon and it is available on all the bookstores and online bookstores and all that. But I feel that it may be a bit too expensive. But if you have, a library, you have resources to buy that, I think you should go ahead. But I'll leave a few references in there so that you can use them, buy them, and definitely, yeah, it'll be of help to you. Yeah, we will do that.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bala sir. So keeping time in our mind, I will have one last question for you.
Okay.
So in customer journey mapping, what is my persona is common people. That is, I'm targeting the population since all are under the problem. In this case, how should I move forward?
Okay, this reminds me of R.K. Lakshman's Common Man. uh, yeah, so no, the answer is definitely no. Common people is not a persona. That is, it is stereotyping. It is called stereotyping. It is that massing lots and lots of people into this one. I wouldn't recommend that. I know what we are doing in persona is also stereotyping in one sense, but we're trying to narrow down a particular user segment. It is possible, definitely possible, as we have seen in Siddharth. We have shown it in the videos, as well as our workshop experiences have been that in any problem that you work on, it is possible for one to actually work with a segment of people. Or start with people like you. If you are a student in an engineering college, 18 to 20 years old, okay, start with your own profile. That's the easiest way to start it. I know, and you can put down a geography. Say you're in Chennai, okay. Say and you're looking for it. It's still a big, huge audience, but it's better than common people. Common people is millions and millions. You've run down, you still narrowed it down to about 10,000 to 20,000 people. Okay, so start with those kind of people. Talk to about 20, 30 of your buddies, your people around you, and see if it works for them. Uh, yeah, then I would say, have a starting point that you find are people who are accessible to you, and then work from there. Because common people, the problem with considering common people as a persona is that the customer journey map will look all very generic and will not be useful to you. Whose journey will you track, right? So it's not going to be straightforward to build that, and so the problem statements are going to be vague and everything. I mean, down the line, your solutions will be vague. Your prototypes will also be very vague. You don't know whom to really target. So start small. Start with people like you, people around you, and then build on that. That's an easy way to do that.
Right. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
I,
And we are almost out with time as well. I'm expecting it's time for you to
oh
have
yes,
a
yes,
session.
yes,
Oh,
buddy.
right.
Yeah. So I thank all people behind me and people who are watching this, as well as people on who have been very active on the forum and on watching these videos. We have had a lot of fun putting all these together. The live sessions were also fun. I can vouch for that from Siddharth's perspective as well. That we have had a good time putting it together. Um, and hope to see you in the face-to-face workshop. I believe we'll have a link for you to upload your proposals to show up for a face-to-face workshop with your indicator. If you can indicate what problem you have to work on, what is your motivation, what's your preferred city, and we have all the questions up there. So we'll be very very happy. We are very excited to work with you. So thank you so much for the interactions, and hope to see you soon in person. Bye.
All right. Thanks a
Bye.
lot, guys. Thanks a lot, and I will make sure that the announcement comes through with respect to the workshop, face-to-face workshop on the deadline because we have a couple of questions asking what is the deadline as such. So I'm sure the announcement will have all the details with respect to the workshop. Um, Again, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for being part of this design thinking course, and we're looking forward to see you on the session for sure. So, bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.